Good day, everyone. There are moments in life when we feel broken beyond repair. We may carry wounds from our past, disappointments from people we trusted, failures that we wish we could undo, or losses that changed us forever. Sometimes we smile on the outside while our hearts are crying on the inside. We continue living, working, and talking to others, but deep within us we wonder, will I ever be whole again? If you have ever felt this way, I want you to remember one truth. There is still hope in your brokenness. Your brokenness does not mean that your story is finished. Your tears do not mean that God has forgotten you. Your failures do not mean that you are useless. And your painful past does not have the power to decide your future. God sees the parts of you that other people cannot see. He knows the battles you have fought in silence. He knows every disappointment, every sleepless night, every prayer you whispered when you had no strength left. And even when you cannot understand what He is doing, He has not stopped caring about you. Sometimes we look at our broken lives and see only pieces, but God sees what those pieces can become in His hands. Think about a broken heart. When someone hurts us deeply, we may begin to believe that love is no longer possible. When we fail, we may believe that our best days are behind us. When something we prayed for does not happen, we may think that God has closed every door. But God is not limited by what is broken. He can bring beauty from ashes. He can bring strength out of weakness. He can bring peace into a troubled heart. He can take a person who feels forgotten and remind them that they are deeply loved. Your pain may be real, but your pain is not the end. There is a difference between being broken and being finished. A broken thing can be restored. A wounded heart can heal. A discouraged person can rise again. A life that seems empty can receive new purpose. You may not be able to change what happened yesterday, but you can place tomorrow into God's hands. Perhaps you have made mistakes. Perhaps you have walked away from what you knew was right. Perhaps you have trusted the wrong people. Perhaps you have wasted years. But do not allow your past to convince you that God cannot use your future. The Bible is filled with people who were imperfect, wounded, afraid, and sometimes deeply discouraged. Yet God continued working through their lives. This should give us courage. God does not require us to come to Him pretending that everything is perfect. He invites us to come as we are. We can bring Him our fears. We can bring Him our regrets. We can bring Him our questions. We can bring Him our broken hearts. And when we place our brokenness in His hands, He can begin a work that we could never accomplish by ourselves. Your brokenness does not define you. One of the greatest lies we can believe is that our worst moment defines who we are. Maybe you failed. Maybe someone rejected you. Maybe you made a decision that brought painful consequences. Maybe you lost something precious. But what happened to you is not the complete definition of who you are. You are more than your mistakes. You are more than your failures. You are more than the opinions people have about you. God sees beyond the chapter you are currently living. When we are hurting, we often judge our entire lives by one painful season. We say, nothing will ever change. We say, I will always be this way. We say, there is no future for me. But seasons change. The night does not last forever. Winter does not last forever. A storm does not last forever. And your present pain does not have to become your permanent identity. Do not call yourself hopeless simply because you are hurting today. Your brokenness is a condition you are experiencing, not the final definition of who you are. God can still write new chapters in your life. God is near to the brokenhearted. When we are suffering, we sometimes wonder where God is. We may pray and hear no immediate answer. We may cry and wonder why the situation has not changed. We may ask, God, if you love me, why am I going through this? But silence does not mean absence. There are moments when God is working quietly beneath the surface where we cannot yet see the result. The Bible reminds us that God is close to the brokenhearted. That means your pain does not push God away. Your tears do not make Him uncomfortable. Your weakness does not make Him abandon you. When you have nothing left to say, God still understands. When you cannot find the words to pray, He knows your heart. When you feel alone in a crowded room, He sees you. When everyone else walks away, God remains faithful. You may not always feel His presence, but feelings are not the measure of His faithfulness. Hold on. Keep praying. Keep trusting. Keep believing that God is near, even when your circumstances tell you otherwise. 3. God can restore what life has broken. Some things in life cannot be repaired by human strength alone. A broken relationship may leave deep wounds. A lost opportunity may never return in the same form. Years of regret cannot be rewritten. Some losses permanently change our lives. But restoration does not always mean getting back exactly what we lost. Sometimes God restores us by changing our hearts. He gives us peace where there was anxiety. He gives us wisdom where there was confusion. He gives us strength where there was weakness. He gives us purpose where there was emptiness. Sometimes the greatest miracle is not that the situation changes. Sometimes the greatest miracle is that you change in the middle of the situation. You become stronger. You become wiser. You become more compassionate. You learn to depend on God instead of depending completely on people. You discover that your identity is not built on possessions, achievements, relationships, or human approval. God can take your brokenness and use it to make you more compassionate towards someone else who is hurting. The place where you once cried may become the place where you learn to comfort others. Your testimony may one day become someone else's reason to keep going. 4. Your past does not have to control your future. Many people are prisoners of yesterday. They replay old conversations. They remember old mistakes. They think about what they should have done differently. They wish they could go back and make another choice. But you cannot live tomorrow if you are constantly living yesterday. There is a time to look back and learn, but there must also be a time to look forward and trust God. If you have confessed your mistakes and turned your heart toward God, do not continue punishing yourself for what God is willing to forgive. Grace means that your past does not have the final word. You may have fallen, but you can rise. You may have wandered, but you can return. You may have wasted time, but God can still give your life purpose. Do not allow yesterday's failure to steal tomorrow's opportunity. The enemy wants you to believe that you are permanently disqualified because of your past, but God specializes in giving people new beginnings. Your story is not over at 5. Sometimes brokenness becomes the place where faith grows. We often ask God to remove every difficult situation, but sometimes difficult seasons teach us lessons that comfort never could. When everything is going well, it is easy to say that we trust God. But when the answers do not come, when the door remains closed, when the future is uncertain, faith becomes more than words. Faith means saying, God, I do not understand this, but I still trust you. Faith means continuing to pray when the answer seems delayed. Faith means continuing to believe when circumstances look hopeless. Faith does not mean that you never cry. Faith does not mean that you never feel afraid. Faith means that even while you are crying, you know where to turn. You may be walking through a valley right now, but a valley is not a permanent home. Keep walking. God can use the valley to teach you what you could never learn on the mountaintop. 6. There is a new beginning ahead. Perhaps you have been asking yourself, can my life really become different? Yes. You may not know when. You may not know how. You may not know what the next chapter will look like, but you can choose to believe that God is still working. Do not give up because your current chapter is painful. A difficult chapter is still only a chapter. It is not the whole book. There are days ahead that you have never seen. There are opportunities ahead that you have not imagined. There are people you may encourage because of what you have survived. There are lessons you will carry. There is strength that can grow from your weakness, and there is hope that can rise even after the darkest night. So take your broken heart to God. Take your disappointment to Him. Take your failures to Him. Take your fears to Him. Do not hide your wounds from the one who can heal them. You do not have to have everything figured out today. You only need to take the next step. And sometimes the next step is simply saying, God, I am hurting, but I am still here. I do not understand, but I choose to trust you. I cannot see the future, but I place my future in your hands. That prayer may be the beginning of a new season. Your brokenness is not the end of your story. The tears you cry today will not be wasted. The pain you have experienced can become part of your testimony. The scars you carry can remind you that you survived, and the places where you once felt hopeless can become places where you discover God's faithfulness. So do not give up. Do not let disappointment convince you that there is no future. Do not let your past convince you that you are beyond redemption. Do not let your present pain make you forget that God is still working. There is still hope. There is hope for the broken heart. There is hope for the disappointed. There is hope for the person who has failed. There is hope for the person who feels forgotten. There is hope for the person who thinks they have gone too far. As long as you are willing to turn toward God, there is a reason to keep believing. Your life may be broken in places, but God can still work through those places. And one day you may look back and realize that the season you thought would destroy you became the season that brought you closer to God. You are not finished. Your story is not over. There is still hope in your brokenness. Conclusion: if your heart is broken today, do not lose hope. You may not see the way forward, but God does. You may not understand the purpose of your pain, but God can bring purpose from it. You may feel weak, but God can give you strength. You may feel forgotten, but God has not forgotten you. Bring Him what remains. Bring Him the broken pieces. Bring Him the tears, the questions, the regrets, and the fears. Place them in His hands and trust Him with what you cannot fix yourself. The God who created you is not finished with you. Your past is not your prison. Your pain is not your identity. Your brokenness is not your ending. There is still a future. There is still purpose. There is still grace. And above all, there is still hope. So rise again. Take another step. Pray another prayer. Trust God one more time. The story is not over yet. There are times in life when our pain becomes so strong that we begin to believe it is who we are. We make one mistake and we call ourselves a failure. Someone rejects us and we begin to think we are not worthy of love. We go through a difficult season and we start believing that our whole life will always be difficult. We look at our brokenness and begin to use it as our identity. But your brokenness does not define you. What happened to you is a part of your story, but it is not the whole story. The pain you experienced is real, but it does not have to control the rest of your life. You may have been hurt, disappointed, rejected, or forgotten by people, but their actions do not determine your worth. You are still valuable. You are still important. You still have a purpose. Sometimes we become too focused on our past. We remember the things we wish we could change. We think about the words people said to us. We remember the doors that closed. We remember the relationships that ended. We remember the opportunities we lost. Then we begin to believe that because something went wrong, everything will always go wrong. But life does not work that way. A painful chapter does not mean the whole book is painful. A difficult season does not mean every season will be difficult. Just because you have fallen does not mean you cannot stand again. Just because you cried yesterday does not mean you cannot smile tomorrow. You have to learn to separate what happened from who you are. Maybe you made a serious mistake. Learn from it, but do not become trapped by it. Maybe you trusted someone who hurt you. Let the experience teach you, but do not let it make you believe that everyone will hurt you. Maybe you failed at something important. Accept the lesson, but do not call yourself a failure for the rest of your life. You are a person who experienced failure, not a person who is nothing but a failure. There is a great difference between the two. God sees more in you than your weakest moment. He sees possibilities where you see limitations. He sees a future where you only see your past. He sees the person you can become, even when you cannot yet see that person yourself. Sometimes we think we have to become perfect before God can use us. But God has always worked through imperfect people. He does not wait for you to have everything together before He begins working in your life. He can meet you in your weakness. He can meet you in your confusion. He can meet you in your pain. Your brokenness may have changed you, but it does not have to destroy you. The scars you carry can become reminders of what you survived. The lessons you learned can make you wiser. The pain you experienced can make you more compassionate toward others. The difficult road you walk can give you the ability to encourage someone who is walking through the same kind of darkness. One day, you may look back at the season you are struggling through right now and realize that it did not finish you. It strengthened you. It taught you. It brought you closer to God. It helped you understand yourself in a deeper way. So stop speaking about yourself as if your worst day is your entire identity. You are not your mistake. You are not your rejection. You are not your failure. You are not the painful words someone spoke over you. You are not the relationship that ended. You are not the opportunity you lost. You are not the season that broke your heart. There is still more ahead of you. You may be wounded today, but healing can come. You may feel lost today, but direction can come. You may feel weak today, but strength can come. You may feel hopeless today, but hope can return. Do not allow a temporary situation to give you a permanent name. Lift your head again. Take another step. Give yourself permission to believe that your future can be different from your past. God is not finished with you. Your story is still being written. And even though there may be broken places in your life, those broken places do not define who you are. They are only part of the journey. You are still here. You are still growing. You are still capable of loving. You are still capable of beginning again. And most importantly, there is still hope for your life. There are moments when pain makes us feel completely alone. We may be surrounded by people, yet inside our hearts we feel empty. We may talk to others, smile, work, and continue with our daily lives. But deep within us there is a place that feels wounded. Sometimes the pain is so deep that we wonder if anyone truly understands what we are going through. But God understands. When your heart is broken, God is not far away. He is not looking at your pain from a distance. He sees you. He knows what happened. He knows the tears you cried when nobody was watching. He knows the prayers you could not put into words. He knows the questions you are carrying in your heart. The Bible tells us that God is near to the brokenhearted. This is a beautiful reminder that our pain does not cause God to leave us. In fact, some of the moments when we feel weakest can become moments when we discover His presence in a deeper way. There are times when we ask, "Where is God?" because our situation has not changed. We pray for healing, but the pain remains. We pray for a door to open, but it stays closed. We pray for someone to come back, but they do not return. We pray for an answer, but the answer seems delayed. It can be difficult to understand why God allows certain things to happen. But we must remember that God's silence does not mean that He has forgotten us. Sometimes He is working in ways we cannot see. Think about a seed planted deep in the ground. From the outside, it may look like nothing is happening. There is no flower. There is no fruit. There is no visible growth. But underneath the soil, something is taking place. In the same way, there may be seasons in your life when you cannot see what God is doing. You may only see the darkness around you. But that does not mean God is inactive. He can be working in your heart. He can be giving you strength. He can be changing your perspective. He can be preparing you for something you cannot yet understand. When your heart is broken, you do not need to pretend that everything is fine. You do not have to hide your tears from God. You do not have to come to Him with perfect words. You can come exactly as you are. If you are angry, tell Him. If you are afraid, tell Him. If you are confused, tell Him. If you are tired, tell Him. If you do not understand why something happened, tell Him. God already knows what is inside your heart. He wants you to bring those feelings to Him rather than carrying them alone. Sometimes people may not understand your pain. They may tell you to simply move on. They may not realize how difficult that can be. They may not know how much you are struggling inside. But God knows. He knows every part of your story. He knows the beginning, the middle, and the end. That is why you can trust Him, even when you do not understand Him. Your broken heart may make you feel weak, but it can also become a place where you learn to depend on God more deeply. When everything else seems uncertain, you can hold on to Him. You may lose people. You may lose opportunities. You may lose things you thought would remain forever, but God remains. And when you have nothing else to hold on to Him. Do not believe the lie that you are alone. You may feel alone, but you are not forgotten. You may feel unseen, but God sees you. You may feel unheard, but God hears your prayers. You may feel abandoned, but God has not left you. Your current situation is not proof that God has stopped caring. Sometimes the greatest comfort is knowing that you do not have to walk through your pain alone. Take one day at a time. Take one prayer at a time. Take one step at a time. You do not have to know how everything will work out. You only need to trust the one who already knows. There will come a day when you understand things that you cannot understand today. There will come a time when some of your tears will make sense. There will come a season when you realize that God was carrying you even when you thought you were walking alone. So if your heart is broken today, do not give up. Cry if you need to cry. Rest if you need to rest. Pray when you can pray. And when you have no strength left, simply whisper the name of God. He is near, He is listening, He cares about you. Your broken heart is not invisible to Him. Your pain is not meaningless. Your tears are not forgotten. You may not see the way forward yet, but keep trusting. God is near to the brokenhearted, and He can bring peace into places where there has been pain for a very long time. You are not walking through this alone. God is with you in the darkness, with you in the waiting, with you in the tears, and with you as you slowly begin to heal. The pain may be part of your story, but it does not have to be the end of your story. There is still hope. There is still grace. There is still a reason to keep going. And even in your most broken moment, God is near. Life can break things we never expected to lose. Sometimes a relationship breaks. Sometimes trust is broken. Sometimes dreams fall apart. Sometimes we lose people we love, opportunities we worked hard for, or years that we can never get back. There are moments when we look at our lives and wonder how anything could ever become beautiful again. When something important is broken, it is easy to believe that it can never be repaired. We may look at the pieces and think this is the end. We may believe that our best days are behind us. We may think that because something was lost, nothing good can ever come again. But God can restore what life has broken. Restoration does not always mean getting back exactly what we lost. Sometimes God restores us in a different and greater way. He may not return the same relationship, but He can give us peace. He may not give us the same opportunity, but He can open another door. He may not erase the past, but He can heal the wounds that the past created. God can take what looks like an ending and use it as the beginning of something new. Think about a broken piece of pottery. When it falls to the ground, it may seem useless. The pieces may be scattered everywhere, but in the hands of a skilled person, those pieces can be gathered and given new purpose. Our lives can feel like those broken pieces. One piece may be a painful memory. Another may be a disappointment. Another may be a mistake. Another may be a relationship that ended. Another may be a dream that never happened. We may look at all those pieces and believe that our lives are ruined. But God does not look at us the way we look at ourselves. Where we see pieces, He can see potential. Where we see failure, He can see a lesson. Where we see loss, He can create a new direction. Where we see an ending, He can prepare a new beginning. This does not mean that healing happens overnight. Some wounds take time. Some pain takes years to understand. Some losses leave scars that remain with us for a long time. But a scar is not proof that you are still broken. A scar is proof that something wounded you and you survived it. God can work through the healing process. He can teach you patience when you want everything fixed immediately. He can teach you trust when you do not know what will happen next. He can teach you to release the things you cannot control. Sometimes we ask God to restore our circumstances when He is first trying to restore our hearts. We want Him to change the people around us, but He begins by changing us. We want Him to remove every difficulty, but He gives us strength to walk through it. We want Him to explain everything, but He teaches us to trust Him without having every answer. And slowly, something begins to change. The pain becomes easier to carry. The memories become less powerful. The fear begins to lose its control. The heart begins to hope again. You begin to understand that what happened to you does not have to destroy the rest of your life. Maybe someone broke your trust. God can teach you wisdom without making your heart bitter. Maybe someone rejected you. God can remind you that your value does not depend on another person's acceptance. Maybe you failed. God can teach you that failure is not the end of your journey. Maybe you lost something you deeply loved. God can comfort you and help you continue walking forward. Maybe you feel like you have wasted too much time. Remember that God is not limited by your past. There are still days ahead. There are still opportunities ahead. There are still people you can encourage. There are still lessons you can learn. There is still purpose in your life. Do not make a permanent decision about your future based on a temporary season of pain. You may not see restoration today, but that does not mean restoration is impossible. Sometimes God works slowly because He is doing something deep. A tree does not become strong in one day. Its roots grow quietly beneath the ground before anyone sees the results. In the same way, God may be strengthening you in ways that are not yet visible. You may think nothing is happening, but your faith may be growing. Your character may be growing. Your patience may be growing. Your understanding may be growing. Your heart may be healing. One day, you may look back and realize that God was with you through every part of the journey. He did not waste your tears. He did not waste your struggles. He did not waste your difficult seasons. He can use even the painful parts of your story for a greater purpose. So do not throw away your life because some parts of it are broken. Do not give up because something did not happen the way you expected. Do not believe that your story has ended simply because one chapter has closed. Give your broken pieces to God. Give Him your past. Give Him your disappointment. Give Him your regrets. Give Him your fears. Give Him everything you cannot fix by yourself. You may not know what He will do with it, but trust Him. The same God who brought you through yesterday can carry you through tomorrow. He can bring peace where there was confusion. He can bring strength where there was weakness. He can bring hope where there was despair. He can bring purpose where there was emptiness. And He can restore what life has broken. Maybe your life does not look the way you imagined it would. Maybe your journey has taken unexpected turns. Maybe you have experienced things that you never thought you would experience. But your life is not finished. There is still room for healing. There is still room for growth. There is still room for joy. There is still room for a new beginning. God is able to take broken pieces and create something meaningful from them. So keep trusting, keep praying, keep walking. Do not stop believing simply because you cannot see the answer yet. One day, you may discover that the thing you thought destroyed your life became part of the story God used to strengthen you. What was broken can be healed. What was lost can lead you somewhere new. What seemed like the end can become a beginning. And what you thought was impossible can become a testimony of God's faithfulness. Your brokenness is not too great for God. Your past is not too complicated for God. Your wounds are not too deep for God. Your story is not beyond His reach. Plead your life in His hands and trust Him with the pieces. God can restore what life has broken. There are moments when the past feels stronger than the future. We remember what happened, what we lost, what we did wrong, and what other people did to us. Sometimes those memories become so powerful that we begin to believe our future will always look like our past. We think because this happened before, it will happen again. But your past does not have to control your future. What happened yesterday cannot be changed, but it does not mean tomorrow has already been decided. You may have made mistakes. You may have trusted the wrong person. You may have taken a path that brought pain. You may have wasted time. You may have experienced rejection, disappointment, failure, or loss. These things may have shaped you, but they do not have to control you. Your past is a chapter in your story. It is not the entire book. Sometimes we spend so much time looking behind us that we cannot see what is in front of us. We keep asking, what if I had done things differently? We imagine another life where we made better choices. We wish we could go back and change certain moments, but life does not allow us to go backward. What it does give us is another opportunity to move forward. You cannot change yesterday, but you can choose what you do with today. That choice is powerful. Maybe you made a mistake that you deeply regret. Learn from it, let it teach you, but do not allow guilt to become your permanent home. If you keep punishing yourself for something that happened years ago, you are allowing yesterday to steal today. There is a difference between remembering your past and living in your past. Remembering can teach you. Living there can keep you trapped. You do not have to carry every painful memory into every new season. There are things you need to learn from, and there are things you need to release. Maybe someone hurt you. Forgiveness does not mean pretending that the pain never happened. It does not mean saying that what happened was acceptable. It means refusing to let someone else's actions control the rest of your life. You can choose peace. You can choose healing. You can choose to move forward. Maybe you failed at something important. Failure can make us afraid to try again. We begin thinking, what if I fail again? But one failure does not mean every future attempt will fail. You learned something. You became wiser. You discovered what did not work. You became stronger through an experience you never wanted. Do not let one closed door convince you that there are no more doors. Sometimes God allows one path to close because another path is waiting ahead. We may not understand it immediately. We may even be disappointed. But later, we may realize that what we thought was a rejection was actually protection, direction, or preparation. Your future does not have to look like your past. If your past was filled with fear, your future can be filled with courage. If your past was filled with confusion, your future can have direction. If your past was filled with sadness, your future can contain joy again. If your past was filled with mistakes, your future can be filled with wiser choices. If your past was filled with broken relationships, your future can contain healthy relationships. If your past was filled with disappointment, your future can still contain hope. Do not place limits on what God can do with your life because of what happened before. Sometimes we think our mistakes have disqualified us from having a meaningful future. But God can use people who have fallen. He can use people who have made mistakes. He can use people who have walked through difficult seasons. Your weakness does not surprise Him. Your past does not scare Him. Your failures do not make Him powerless. He already knows everything about your story, and He can still lead you forward. Perhaps you have spent years believing that you are not good enough. Maybe someone told you that you would never become anything. Maybe you were constantly compared with others. Maybe people made you feel small. Do not allow their voices to become louder than God's truth. You are not required to remain the person you were yesterday. You can grow. You can change. You can learn. You can begin again. Every new day is another opportunity to make a better choice. You may not be able to rebuild your entire life in one day, but you can take one step, one prayer, one decision, one act of courage, one new habit, one moment of trust. Small steps can lead to a completely different future. Sometimes we wait for a huge miracle before we start moving forward. But change often begins with something very simple. Get up, try again, forgive, pray, learn, let go, trust God. Keep going. You do not need to know every detail of your future before you take the next step. God knows what is ahead. He knows the roads you have not walked. He knows the people you have not met. He knows the opportunities you have not seen. He knows the prayers you have not yet prayed. So do not be afraid of tomorrow, simply because yesterday was painful, yesterday was real, but yesterday is over. Today is in front of you, and tomorrow has not been written from your perspective yet. There may still be beautiful things waiting for you. There may still be opportunities to serve others. There may still be dreams worth pursuing. There may still be healing waiting to take place. There may still be relationships that will bless your life. There may still be lessons that will make you stronger. There may still be moments that make you thankful you did not give up. Your past may explain some things about you, but it does not have the authority to decide everything about you. Do not keep introducing yourself by your old mistakes. Do not keep saying, "This is just who I am." You are capable of growth. You are capable of change. You are capable of making different choices. And with God's help, you can walk into a future that looks very different from the life you once knew. So release what you cannot change. Learn from what happened. Forgive where you need to forgive. Accept the lessons. Leave the regrets with God. Then turn your eyes forward. There is no need to deny your past. You simply need to stop allowing it to control your future. Your story is still being written. The chapter behind you may contain pain, but the chapter ahead can contain purpose. The chapter behind you may contain failure, but the chapter ahead can contain growth. The chapter behind you may contain tears, but the chapter ahead can contain joy. Do not give your past more power than it deserves. It happened. You learned, you survived, and now you can move forward. God is still able to lead you. He is still able to guide you. He is still able to give you strength. He is still able to open new doors. So lift your eyes. Take another step. Trust Him with tomorrow. Your past may be part of your story, but it does not have to be the author of your future. What happened yesterday does not have to determine what God can do with your tomorrow. There are seasons in life when everything seems to fall apart at the same time. A relationship ends, a dream disappears, a prayer seems unanswered, or a door we hoped would open suddenly closes. During those moments, it is easy to wonder why God allowed the pain to happen. We may ask why our lives cannot be easier and why we have to walk through something so difficult. But sometimes the places that hurt us the most can also become the places where our faith becomes stronger. When life is going well, it is easy to say that we trust God. When everything is comfortable, our prayers can feel simple. We thank God for the blessings we can see. But when something is taken away, when the future becomes uncertain, and when we do not know what will happen next, our faith is tested in a different way. Faith becomes deeper when we learn to trust God, even when we cannot see the answer. Brokenness can teach us that we cannot control everything. We can make plans, work hard, and try to protect ourselves. But there will always be things outside our control. People may change. Circumstances may change. Opportunities may disappear. Life may take an unexpected turn. At first, this can frighten us, but it can also teach us something important. We were never meant to carry everything alone. There are moments when we have to stop trying to control every detail and simply place our lives in God's hands. This is not easy. We want answers immediately. We want to know why something happened. We want to know when the pain will end. We want to know what tomorrow will bring. But God does not always give us the whole picture. Sometimes He gives us enough light for the next step. That is where faith begins. Faith is not always knowing what will happen. Faith is trusting God when we do not know. When you are broken, you may discover that prayer becomes more personal. You may find yourself talking to God in the quiet moments when no one else understands. You may pray with tears in your eyes. You may not have beautiful words. You may simply say, "God, help me." And that simple prayer can become an expression of deep faith. You do not have to sound strong when you pray. You do not have to pretend that you are not afraid. God already knows your heart. Bring Him your weakness. Bring Him your questions. Bring Him your disappointment. Bring Him your fears. He can handle them. Sometimes we think faith means never feeling afraid. But faith does not mean that fear disappears. Faith means that fear does not have the final word. You can be afraid and still trust God. You can cry and still believe. You can feel weak and still keep walking. You can have questions and still hold on to your faith. Some of the strongest faith is developed during seasons when we have no choice but to depend on God. Think about a tree during a storm. Strong winds may shake its branches, but deep roots can keep it standing. The storm may be powerful, but the roots are growing beneath the ground where no one can see them. Our faith can grow in the same way. Difficult seasons may shake us, but they can also push our roots deeper. We learn to depend less on circumstances and more on God. We learn that our peace does not have to come from having a perfect life. We learn that our joy does not have to depend completely on what happens around us. We learn that even when life changes, God remains faithful. Sometimes the blessing is not found in avoiding the storm. Sometimes the blessing is found in discovering who God is while we are walking through it. You may be going through a season right now that you would never have chosen. You may wish that things were different. You may wish the pain had never happened. But do not assume that your difficult season is meaningless. God can use it. He can use your pain to make you more compassionate. He can use your struggles to make you stronger. He can use your waiting to teach you patience. He can use your uncertainty to teach you trust. He can use your brokenness to bring you closer to Him. One day, you may meet someone who is walking through the same kind of pain you once experienced. Because you have been there, you will understand their tears. You will know what it feels like to be confused. You will know what it means to keep going when the road is difficult. Your experience may allow you to encourage someone else. The place where you once felt weak may become the place from which you speak with strength. The tears you once cried may become part of your testimony. The season you wanted to forget may become evidence that God carried you through. So do not despise every difficult season. That does not mean you should enjoy pain or pretend that suffering is easy. It means that you can believe God is able to bring something meaningful from it. You may not understand the purpose today. You may not see the result tomorrow. But keep trusting. Faith grows one day at a time. Sometimes it grows through a prayer. Sometimes it grows through waiting. Sometimes it grows through tears. Sometimes it grows when you choose to get up after falling. Sometimes it grows when you say, I do not understand, but I will still trust God. That decision matters. You do not need perfect faith. You only need to keep turning toward God. Even a small amount of faith can help you take the next step. So if you are broken today, do not believe that you are useless. God can meet you in your brokenness. He can strengthen you there. He can teach you there. He can grow your faith there. And when you come through that season, you may realize that the pain did not destroy your faith. It deepened it. You may discover that you know God in a way you never knew Him before. You may discover that your trust is stronger. You may discover that you can face uncertainty without falling apart. You may discover that you can walk through storms without losing hope. So keep going. Keep praying. Keep trusting. Even when you cannot see the road ahead, take the next step. Even when you do not understand the situation, hold on to God. Even when your heart is tired, remember that God is not tired of you. Your brokenness is not proof that God has abandoned you. It can become the very place where your faith takes deeper root. And one day when you look back, you may realize that the season you thought would break you became the season that taught you how to trust God more deeply. Your pain may have changed you, but it does not have to destroy you. Your tears may have been many, but they do not have to be the end of your story. Your difficult season may be real, but it is not forever. Keep believing, keep trusting, keep walking. God can use even the broken places of your life to grow something beautiful within you. Sometimes the strongest faith grows in the places where we once felt the weakest. There are times in life when we reach a place where we feel that everything is over. A relationship has ended, a dream has failed, a door has closed, a season has passed, and we do not know what comes next. We look at what we have lost and wonder if there is anything left to hope for. But an ending is not always the end. Sometimes an ending is the place where a new beginning starts. You may be standing at the end of something right now. Maybe you did not choose this ending. Maybe it came through disappointment, loss, rejection, failure, or circumstances you could not control. You may feel confused because the future does not look like the future you once imagined. But just because the road may change does not mean your journey is finished. God can still lead you into something new. There are moments when we become so focused on what we lost that we cannot see what is still in front of us. We keep looking at the closed door and forget that there may be another door waiting to open. Sometimes we spend too much time asking, why did this happen? When we should also begin asking, what can God do with what remains? You may have lost something important, but you have not lost everything. You still have breath. You still have another day. You still have choices. You still have opportunities to grow. You still have the ability to pray. You still have the ability to love. You still have the ability to begin again. A new beginning does not mean that you forget everything that happened before. It means that you stop allowing the past to prevent you from moving forward. Your past can teach you without controlling you. Your mistakes can give you wisdom. Your pain can make you stronger. Your disappointments can teach you patience. Your failures can teach you humility. Everything you have experienced can become part of what prepares you for the future. Sometimes we think a new beginning has to be something huge. We expect a dramatic change that will immediately make everything better. But many new beginnings are small. A new beginning can start with one decision. It can begin when you decide to forgive. It can begin when you decide to stop living in regret. It can begin when you choose to pray again. It can begin when you wake up and say, I will not give up today. It can begin when you take one small step toward healing. It can begin when you finally believe that your life is worth rebuilding. Do not underestimate small beginnings. A seed is small, but it can become a great tree. A single step can begin a long journey. One prayer can change the direction of a person's heart. One decision can change the course of a life. So do not wait until everything is perfect before you begin again. You may never feel completely ready. You may still have questions. You may still feel afraid. You may still have memories from the past. That is okay. Courage does not mean that you have no fear. Courage means that you move forward even when you are afraid. God does not require you to understand everything before you trust Him. You may not know where the next road will lead. You may not know what the next season will bring. You may not know how your situation will change. But you can trust the one who knows what is ahead. There are things in your future that you cannot see today. There are people you have not met. There are opportunities you have not discovered. There are lessons you have not learned. There are prayers you have not yet prayed. There are moments of joy you have not yet experienced. So do not decide that your future is hopeless simply because your present is difficult. Your present situation is not the complete picture. Maybe you are starting over after a painful relationship. Do not believe that one broken relationship means you will never experience healthy love again. Maybe you are starting over after failure. Do not believe that one failure means you can never succeed. Maybe you are starting over after losing something important. Do not believe that your life can never have meaning again. Maybe you are starting over after years of making choices you regret. Do not believe that you are too far gone to change. As long as you are alive, there is another opportunity to choose a better direction. God can give you strength for the next chapter. He can give you wisdom for the next decision. He can give you peace while you wait. He can give you courage when you are afraid. And He can help you rebuild what you thought could never be rebuilt. Sometimes the new beginning we receive does not look like what we expected. We may have wanted one particular door to open, but another door opens instead. We may have wanted one particular person to stay, but God leads us into a new season without them. We may have wanted one specific dream, but God gives us a different purpose. At first, we may not understand it, but later, we may realize that the path we wanted was not the path we needed. Trust that God can see what you cannot see. He knows what is best, even when the future looks uncertain. So if something has ended in your life, take a moment to grieve it, but do not stay there forever. It is okay to cry. It is okay to feel disappointed. It is okay to admit that something hurt you. But eventually, you must lift your eyes and look forward. There is still life ahead. There is still purpose ahead. There is still hope ahead. There is still growth ahead. There is still a new beginning ahead. Do not be afraid to start again. Starting again does not mean you failed. Sometimes starting again means you finally found the courage to stop living in a place that was hurting you. Sometimes starting again is an act of faith. You are saying, I do not know what tomorrow holds, but I believe God can lead me there. That kind of trust can change your life. So take the next step. You do not need to rebuild everything today. Start with what you can do. Pray, forgive. Learn, rep. Grow, try again. Trust again. Move forward. There may be days when you feel like going back to the old life because the new one feels unfamiliar. But remember why you had to leave the old season. Do not return to a place simply because the future feels uncertain. Sometimes uncertainty is the doorway to growth. God may be leading you somewhere you have never been before. You may not see the full road, but you can take the next step. One day, you may look back and realize that the ending you feared was actually the beginning you needed. The door that closed may have protected you. The loss may have redirected you. The failure may have taught you. The waiting may have prepared you. The pain may have strengthened you. And the ending may have opened the way for a beautiful new chapter. So do not give up on your life. Do not give up on your future. Do not give up on what God can still do. Your story is not finished. There are still chapters to be written. There are still lessons to be learned. There are still blessings to receive. There are still people to encourage. There are still dreams worth pursuing. And there is still hope. The past may have been painful, but the future does not have to repeat it. The season behind you may have been difficult, but the season ahead can be different. So lift your head, take a deep breath, put the past into God's hands, and take one more step forward. There is a new beginning ahead. You may not see it yet, but keep walking. You may not understand it yet, but keep trusting. You may not feel ready yet, but keep believing. God is not finished with your story. The ending of one chapter can be the beginning of another. And sometimes the most beautiful part of your story begins after you thought the story was over. So if you are standing at the end of a painful season today, do not believe that your story is over. What you have lost may have hurt you deeply, but it does not have the power to take away everything that is still ahead of you. You may have walked through disappointment, rejection, failure, or heartbreak, but God can still lead you into a new season. He can take the pieces of your life and give them new purpose. He can turn your tears into strength, your pain into wisdom, and your past into a testimony of His faithfulness. Do not be afraid to begin again. You do not need to know everything about tomorrow. You only need to trust God with the next step. When you cannot see the whole road, take one step. When you feel weak, ask Him for strength. When you feel discouraged, remind yourself that the darkest night does not last forever. Your past is not your final destination. Your brokenness is not your identity. Your failures are not the end of your story. There is still hope. There is still purpose. There is still healing. There is still a future. And there is still a new beginning ahead. So lift your head, wipe away your tears, and keep moving forward. Give God the broken pieces, the unanswered questions, and the dreams that seem impossible. Trust Him to do what you cannot do on your own. One day, you may look back and realize that the season you thought would destroy you was actually preparing you for something new. The chapter may have ended, but the story is not over. Your brokenness is not your ending. God can still write a beautiful new beginning.